to introduce Michael Sullivan with Students First Georgia, and they're one of our sponsors today as well. And they care about the two things I care about: kids and taxpayers. So I'm just thrilled that Michael could join us and give their perspective. I think you're going to talk a little bit about parent trigger as well. So that was something that came up last legislative session, and Representative Taylor can speak about that as well. I'd love to see that pass personally. So take it away, Michael.
Sure. So my name is Michael Sullivan. I work for Students First Georgia. And Students First Georgia is we're part of the Students First organization. It's an education nonprofit that seeks to reform Georgia's public education system. What we believe in are three things. We believe in elevating the teaching profession. We believe in empowering parents, and in spending taxpayer money wisely and effectively. So we've been in Georgia since 2010 and trying to actively pursue changes at the state legislature to accomplish those goals. We've been, a couple of the things that we've done include changing the LIFO policy of teachers, getting rid of the policy that said that you had to last in, first out, fire the last person that came into the teaching profession, regardless of how effective they were. If it was a great teacher that came in last, they left. And so we're very excited that the legislature changed that a couple of years ago. This past year, we were involved in the Georgia Charter School Amendment and supporting that. This legislative session, we were big supporters of the teacher evaluation bill to ensure that teachers are actually evaluated on things that matter. Not just test scores, but on test scores that matter. On student growth, showing how much a student improves under that teacher's tenure. The old system ensured that showed that 98% of teachers were satisfactory. And that's fine, but we know that 98% of teachers aren't satisfactory. And at the same time, if you're saying that 98% are and 2% aren't, you're saying that there's no difference between the top 1% and that 98%. So we fixed that, and with legislators' help, it passed almost unanimously. So we're very happy about that. We also were big supporters of the parent trigger legislation. And for those of you that don't know, parent trigger is where a group of parents, and in the House version, a group of teachers could come together and say, our school is not functioning, our school is not working the way it was supposed to, and we as a collective group want to change the system. There are 6 different ways you can do it. You can convert it to a charter school. You can fire the administrators if they're the problem. You can get rid of all the bad teachers that you want. Any number of different ideas. And if 50% of the parents come together, and that's a high threshold, if 50% of the parents come together and want to seek that change, then they should be able to do it. It passed the House, and so excited for the House to have done that, and went over to the state Senate, where it never got out. Unfortunately, there was a political disagreement. And that's where Students First comes in, and where we could use your help. I encourage you to join and become a Students First member. It's completely free. But become a Students First member so you know what's going on, because the one thing that was missing from that conversation about parent trigger was it became a political fight between the House and Senate. It didn't become a fight about what's best for children. It didn't include legislators getting called over and over and over again saying, give us options. You know, let us, if we come together as a group and saying something's wrong, then something's wrong. And let us, ring that alarm bell and let us do something about it, because obviously the administration's not. So that's what happened with parent trigger. We're very excited about the 2014 session, where that bill is actually going to still be up, still going to be under consideration, and we're going to put pressure on the Senate to actually get something done about that. We're also looking at any number of different things that might pop up that we're not really sure what it's going to be, but if it falls under those 3 auspices of elevating the teaching profession, empowering parents, or spending taxpayer money wisely and effectively, then we'll be for it, and you know that we'll be out advocating and support.
Thank you so much, Michael. And I want to add on to what Michael said about, I think he's bringing together some of the themes here. Local, autonomous control, parent power, parent empowerment. These are things that are really important to reforming education in Georgia, and they're near and dear to my heart. There is no more local control. There are no better advocates than the parents for your child. And you want success for your children. We want success for our children in the community, and it's best defined by the parent. That's how I see it. And that's how I trust more about how a parent would spend money to benefit the children in their community than I trust bureaucrats, as Eric Johnson used to tell me, educrats, removed from my children. So that is something that Students First advocates for consistently, and they are down doing that hard work at the Capitol every day on your behalf. What was missing, I went down to the Capitol during the parent trigger debate. What was missing were passionate parents, what I call the Mad Mommy Brigade. Mad Mommy Brigade, there we go. So I challenge you to show up at the Capitol, because they will not vote for your interest unless you are a scarier alternative than their political interests on the other side. When they're worried more about you and your pressure than somebody else's pressure, that's when they'll do what you want them to do down at the state capitol. And what's that old saying? If you don't take an interest in politics, politics will take an interest in you. And that's what's going on. That's why Parent Trigger didn't get passed. They weren't frightened enough. They weren't incentivized, if you will, enough by the moms and the dads and the taxpayers to pass that bill. And it got watered down, and then it got not passed. So you need to make your voice heard, and one of the things I'll communicate with you during this next legislative session happens in January.
January 13th.
It will begin, and it's 40 days, not necessarily all together.
This one's going to fly through though.
Oh, it is, okay, because of the election.
Primaries and all that.
Okay, so, okay.
Very compressed.
Okay, so you got 40 days in January through that period, and it's important that you communicate on all the channels that you can, social media, email, and physically go down there. I know it's a pain, but you have to. You can take MARTA, I often do, you can park and ride, and folks like Georgia Charter Schools Association and Students First will be there to help you. They'll be there to tell you who to see, how to see it. You won't be going down there by yourself wondering, how do I, affect change? Where do I go? What room? We'll help you coordinate those efforts. So stay in touch with us. I think we've got an email thing circulating. So if you're not on my email list, there you go. You can get on it, and I'll share that with Georgia Charter Schools and with Students First. And also there's a column for potential topics, so anything you'd like to hear talked about in the next coffee talk, let me know. Yes?
And I was going to say, one thing that people don't realize is how few people are actually communicating with their elected official. I mean, it's not Congress where they're getting hundreds and thousands of calls a day. I mean, Tom, if you got 15 calls in a week on a particular subject.
I'll tell you what is effective and what's not.
Yeah.
Calls are effective. A visit is effective. A form email gets caught in our spam filters, and during session I get 12 to 1,500 emails a day. And 90% of them are, please stop global warming. And there's somebody from Vermont that signed up on a list, and it just goes out in a blast segment. And guess what? The form letters either get caught in the spam filter, or when I see the same subject line on the first 100 emails I get, it's like, okay, I've got this, but you're not going to get a response. It's not effective. And to Nancy's point, I've got the best legislative aide, volunteer, friend, partner in the world down there in Paige Olson. And there's a lot of times where she goes into those education meetings. And even Brooks Coleman, the chairman of the House Education Committee, said, you're the only person in here not being paid to be in here, because you've got GASB, you've got Paige, Paige being
they're the alphabet soup of lobbyists.
The alphabet soup of lobbyists. You'll have 100 people in a hearing,
yeah.
but you won't see 2 people,
right.
like just parents that are in there with kids in schools.
Yeah, and those interests get defended if you're not there to raise heck with those folks and say, but I'm paying the bills, I'm the mama. This is what is best. If you're not down there, if you're not making your voice heard, they hear from the superintendents They hear from the School Boards Association, which in my perspective is a wholly owned subsidiary of the superintendents. So you get all these voices, but you don't get clarity and you don't get volume on your voice. So, and we'll have Representative Taylor come up in a few minutes and talk about his perspective. But so I think what we learned from you is visits, calls, and non-form emails. Those are the way to go. But really consider coming down, really consider showing up, and you can speak at these committee meetings. And it is powerful, and they do hear you. There is nothing more powerful, I think, than when a parent sits down at a committee meeting in front of those reps or state senators. It's very powerful. I've been in that room. I've seen it happen. So please consider that. Anything else we want to add? So we'll keep everybody informed about ways they can make their voice heard as the session starts in January. That's very important. Because we didn't get Parent Trigger. Had we got Parent Trigger, Druid Hills might have an easier road to go down to get that charter. So we need, and we don't need just a Parent Trigger, we need a real Parent Trigger that has teeth to it. It can't be that it's unenforceable, that it's a mere suggestion. It's got to have teeth in it. So what they put in these bills is very important. So, anything else? Okay, I'm sorry, I get off my high horse now. Let's see. So